It started with little things. Emma couldn't quite place when the shift began. Maybe it was during that winter when work got intense, or perhaps after she turned 39 and her sleep became more restless, her mood more unpredictable. Whatever it was, her body was no longer her ally. It felt like a stranger. She would wake up tired even after 8 hours of sleep. Her skin, once effortlessly glowing, now looked dull. She had gained a few pounds around her belly's stubborn weight that clung to her despite all her efforts. But what truly unnerved her was the emotional volatility. She would snap at her husband for the smallest things, burst into tears while folding laundry, or feel waves of anxiety wash over her for no reason at all. Her doctor said her blood tests were within normal range, but Emma knew something wasn't right. Her cycle had become irregular. Her sugar cravings were intense, especially late at night. And no matter how many green smoothies or supplements she tried, nothing seemed to work. Meditation helped. A little, evening walks gave her some peace. But deep down, she felt like her body was out of sync. Then came the night she found herself in the kitchen at 11:30 p.m., eating peanut butter out of the jar while scrolling through her phone in the dark. Her heart was racing not because of stress, but because of sugar. Her stomach was bloated. She stood there, spoon in hand, feeling defeated. It was then that she stumbled upon an article titled, "Your hormones aren't broken, they're just starving for rhythm." The phrase struck her, starving for rhythm. It wasn't just what she was eating, but how she was eating and when. That was something she hadn't considered before. The article explained how blood sugar spikes, erratic mealtimes, and constant snacking were quietly disrupting the body's delicate hormonal dance. Cortisol, insulin, estrogen, progesterone, they all relied on signals, on rhythm, on order. Emma stayed up until 1 a.m. reading more, not out of anxiety this time, but curiosity. For the first time in months, she felt hope. What if her body didn't need a complete overhaul? What if it just needed a new kind of attention, a way to support her hormones by giving her body the right signals, at the right time, in the right order? And so, her journey began not with another diet, not with another supplement, but with something gentler, more intuitive, and surprisingly simple: learning to eat in sync with her hormones. Part 1: The Hidden Hormonal Imbalance. The next morning, Emma did something different. Instead of rushing into the day with her usual coffee and mental to-do list, she paused. She sat at the kitchen table, wrapped in her soft gray sweater, and opened her laptop. The article from last night was still open. She reread the headline, then clicked on a link that led to a short quiz. Is your body out of hormonal sync? She answered the questions quickly. Do you often feel exhausted even after sleeping? Do you experience mood swings or anxiety for no apparent reason? Is your menstrual cycle irregular or heavier than usual? Have you gained weight in your belly, even with no major diet changes? Do you have sugar cravings, especially in the evening? Every answer was a yes. At the end of the quiz, it said, your hormones may be speaking to you. Are you listening? Emma sighed. For years, she had treated her body like a machine. Eat less, work more, sleep when you can, push through, ignore the whispers. But now those whispers had become screams. She didn't want another fix. She wanted to understand. She began researching more about hormones, starting with the basics. Hormones are messengers, not villains. Emma was surprised to learn that hormones weren't the enemy, just misunderstood. They were like an orchestra, each one playing a different instrument to keep her body in harmony. Cortisol helped her wake up and respond to stress. Insulin helped her manage energy from food. Estrogen and progesterone supported her menstrual cycle, mood, and metabolism. Thyroid hormones kept her energy stable and her metabolism running. Leptin and ghrelin told her when to eat and when to stop. But when one instrument started playing offbeat, like cortisol staying high all day, it threw everything else out of rhythm. The real trigger, blood sugar chaos. The deeper Emma dug, the clearer it became. One of the main culprits behind hormone imbalance was blood sugar instability. Every time she skipped breakfast and ran on caffeine, her blood sugar dropped. that triggered cortisol to rise, which in turn made her more insulin-resistant later in the day. She was unknowingly riding a blood sugar roller coaster, starting low in the morning, spiking at lunch, crashing by late afternoon, and peaking again at night with sugary snacks. This cycle confused her body. Cortisol stayed elevated too long, which disrupted her progesterone. Insulin was always on guard, storing fat around her belly. Estrogen wasn't metabolized properly. Sleep hormones like melatonin struggled to show up on time. And yet, she wasn't doing anything bad. She just didn't know how food timing and order mattered this much. Clues were hiding in her routine. Emma looked back on the past few months and saw the signs clearly. She skipped breakfast or ate fruit and coffee only. She had lunch late, usually carbs first, like a sandwich or pasta. She felt tired in the afternoon and reached for sugar. Dinner was the biggest meal, rich, heavy, eaten late. She snacked again after dinner: ice cream, chips, wine. She often went to bed bloated and wired. No wonder her hormones were confused. There was no structure, just reaction. Could something as simple as order make a difference? Emma found a small section in the article titled, "Eat in the Right Order to Calm Hormones Naturally." It listed a basic structure. 1. Start meals with fiber like vegetables. 2. Then protein and healthy fats. 3. Starch and fruit come last. This simple order could blunt blood sugar spikes, reduce cortisol, and support insulin sensitivity. Over time, it would help estrogen detox more efficiently and balance progesterone. It wasn't magic, it was science. She read a quote from a hormone specialist that stayed with her: "Your body is always listening." When you eat with rhythm, your hormones finally breathe a sigh of relief. Emma felt that in her chest. Maybe her body wasn't broken. Maybe it was waiting for her to listen. That night, instead of her usual grazing, Emma made a small dinner: a big salad with roasted vegetables first, then grilled salmon with avocado, and just a few sweet potatoes on the side. She lit a candle, sat down at the table, and ate slowly. No screens, no rushing. She felt full, but not heavy. She went to bed early and actually fell asleep within 20 minutes. It wasn't perfect, but it was a beginning. And beginnings, she realized, often come quietly, like hormones coming back into balance, one gentle step at a time. Part 2. Blood sugar swings, cortisol, and food order. Emma didn't expect her second day to feel so steady. She still woke up early, still had a long list of tasks waiting, but her mind wasn't rushing ahead. She felt calmer, centered, as if her body was finally starting to believe she was on its side. She made herself a warm cup of lemon water and stretched by the window for a few minutes before breakfast. Then she did something she hadn't done in years. She cooked for herself in the morning. A few sautéed greens, a soft boiled egg, half an avocado. Simple, but what she noticed was how her body responded. No jitteriness. Number 10 a.m. crash. That afternoon, Emma dove deeper into her research. She wanted to understand why food order mattered so much. Why starting her meal with vegetables instead of carbs could change how she felt all day. The cortisol blood sugar loop, a hidden hormonal tug-of-war. She found a podcast by a functional medicine doctor who explained it perfectly. Think of your body like a symphony. When you spike blood sugar suddenly, say, from a muffin or fruit eaten on an empty stomach, it's like a loud cymbal crashing out of tune. Cortisol jumps in to fix the imbalance, but that comes at a cost. Emma replayed that part twice. Cortisol wasn't just a stress hormone, it was also a backup sugar regulator. Every time her blood sugar dropped to low or surged to high, cortisol was triggered. It was her body's way of protecting her. But over time, that constant backup plan became a problem. Elevated cortisol meant trouble sleeping, more belly fat, irregular cycles, mood swings, and cravings, especially for sugar. Her roller coaster eating habits had unknowingly kept cortisol in on mode, pushing her body into a state of chronic stress, even on calm days. Insulin, the gatekeeper of energy and balance, the doctor continued. When you eat carbs first, like bread or fruit, on an empty stomach, your glucose spikes fast. That tells your pancreas to release a big dose of insulin. Over time, if this happens too often, your cells become less sensitive to insulin. That's when trouble starts. Emma paused. That explained so much. She remembered how she'd often eat fruit first, or grab a snack bar full of oats and dried fruit. She thought she was being healthy, but the order was working against her. Instead of gently rising and falling, her blood sugar was spiking high, crashing low, and pulling her hormones along for the ride. High insulin also meant lower SHBG sex hormone-binding globulin, which made her estrogen go wild. No wonder she felt puffy and moody right before her period. So why vegetables first? One nutritionist Emma followed offered a simple answer. Fiber from vegetables slows down digestion and forms a gel-like barrier in your intestines. When you eat veggies first, glucose from carbs enters your bloodstream more gradually. Your insulin stays calmer, your cortisol doesn't need to jump in. Your hormones feel safe. That word landed softly in Emma's chest. She realized something deeper. Her body wasn't just fighting blood sugar chaos, it was trying to feel safe. Every bite she took was sending a signal. Rushed, confused, urgent ... or calm, grounded, rhythmic. And now, with every meal she structured thoughtfully, it was as if she was telling her body, "You're okay, I'm here." The ripple effect on estrogen and progesterone. As she journaled that evening, Emma made a little sketch of what she'd learned. When blood sugar spikes, insulin surges. That can lead to fat storage, hormone imbalance, and inflammation. High insulin can suppress ovulation, reduce progesterone, and worsen estrogen dominance. But eating veggies gives protein, fat gives carbs, calms that storm. That calmness ripples outward to sleep, mood, skin, cycle. She underlined one sentence. The order you eat can whisper to your hormones, or it can shout. Choose the whisper. Dinner that night felt different. Emma made roasted carrots and arugula with lemon vinaigrette, then pan-seared chicken with herbs, and finished with a few spoonfuls of wild rice. She chewed slowly, savoring textures. She wasn't counting calories. She was listening to the rhythm. No more peanut butter jar at midnight. That night, she fell asleep easily, and in the morning, her stomach felt lighter, her mind clearer. There were still hard days ahead, days her cravings might return, or her mood might dip. But now, she had a map, and it all began with understanding one thing. Her hormones weren't fighting her, they were just trying to find a rhythm again. Part 3. Hormone-friendly foods and how they work. By the end of the week, Emma was beginning to notice small but meaningful shifts. She wasn't just eating differently, she was thinking differently. Food no longer felt like a battle. It wasn't about deprivation or guilt or rigid rules. It was becoming a language, a way of communicating care and stability to her body. So she made a new promise to herself. If my hormones are asking for safety, I'll nourish them like they matter. That weekend, she took a trip to the farmer's market. It felt like an act of self-love. She walked slowly between stalls of crisp greens, vibrant root vegetables, fragrant herbs. She spoke with the woman selling pasture-raised eggs, asked the vendor about wild-caught fish, and even picked up some fermented sauerkraut that reminded her of her grandmother. It was the first time in months, maybe years, that grocery shopping felt exciting. She came home, spread everything out on the kitchen table, and made a little list titled, "Foods that Feed My Hormones." 1. Leafy greens and cruciferous vegetables. Role: estrogen metabolism plus detoxification. Emma learned that foods like kale, broccoli, arugula, and cabbage contain compounds like indole 3-carbonyl and sulforaphane, which support the liver in breaking down excess estrogen, especially important when you're dealing with estrogen dominance. She started sauteing kale with garlic and olive oil as a first course, or tossing arugula with lemon before every lunch. It became her gentle daily ritual. Eat your greens first. They help your hormones stay grounded. 2. Healthy fats, especially omega-3 south. Role: hormone production plus inflammation balance. She realized her body had been starved of the right kinds of fat. For years, she'd been told to eat low-fat to stay slim. But now she understood hormones are built from fat, especially cholesterol, which is the raw material for estrogen, progesterone, and cortisol. She added avocados to her morning toast, chia seeds into her smoothies, olive oil over her salads, wild salmon twice a week. Her dry skin began to soften. Her afternoon anxiety felt more manageable. She was rebuilding the very foundation her hormones needed to thrive. 3. High-quality protein, roll, blood sugar regulation plus muscle repair plus ovulation support. Emma had often skipped protein or eaten it without intention. Now she saw it differently as an anchor. Each meal, she made sure to include at least 20 to 30 grams, whether from eggs in the morning, chicken or lentils at lunch, or grass-fed beef once a week. Protein gave her meals substance. It kept her fuller longer, balanced her blood sugar, and supported the production of LH and FSH hormones needed for ovulation and mood. 4. Fermented foods, roll, gut health plus estrogen detox plus mood support. One podcast reminded Emma that your gut is your second hormone center. That's where estrogen is processed and eliminated, and if the gut's off, excess estrogen can recirculate and wreak havoc. She added a spoonful of sauerkraut to her salads, a bit of kimchi with her eggs, occasionally a small cup of unsweetened yogurt. She didn't love them at first, but she grew to enjoy the tangy brightness they brought. Over time, her digestion improved, less bloating, more regularity. Her skin even looked less inflamed. 5. Colorful carbs, but in the right order. Roll, energy plus thyroid support plus serotonin production. Emma didn't cut out carbs, but she changed their role in her meals. She still enjoyed sweet potatoes, beets, carrots, berries, and apples, but she ate them last after her veggies, protein, and fats. This helped blunt glucose spikes and gave her sustained energy instead of a sugar crash. And she was finally starting to feel what stable blood sugar felt like: clear focus, steady mood, and no more desperate late-night cravings. The meal that shifted everything. One evening, after a gentle yoga session, Emma made her new favorite dinner. Starter, a warm salad of roasted Brussels sprouts and garlic with lemon zest. Main, grilled trout with rosemary and a side of creamy mashed cauliflower. Finish, a few roasted carrots and half a baked apple with cinnamon. She lit a candle, put on soft music, and ate slowly. Every bite felt intentional, nourishing, kind. She wasn't just feeding herself, she was healing. Later that night, she journaled. It's not about perfection, it's about patterns. If I can give my body the right signals, meal after meal, maybe that's all it needs to trust me again. And trust, she knew, was the first step toward balance. Part 4, a day of balanced eating. Breakfast, ease into the day, 8 a.m. Emma started with a glass of warm water and a few deep breaths at the window. Then, she prepared a small bowl of sautéed spinach with a squeeze of lemon fiber first. 2 soft-boiled eggs with a dash of sea salt, protein, and healthy fat. A slice of sourdough toast with a smear of almond butter, complex carb. Last, a cup of green tea with a hint of ginger. She sat down, no phone in sight, and let her body wake up slowly. The greens calmed her digestion, the protein grounded her hunger, and the carbs eaten last gave her steady energy, not a spike. Science in motion. Eating fiber before starch slows the rate at which glucose enters the bloodstream, easing the insulin response. This keeps cortisol calm and gives hormones a more stable environment to function. And Emma noticed her usual 10 a.m. energy dip didn't come. Lunch, balanced, not bloated, 12:30 p.m. After a morning walk and a bit of gardening, Emma felt peacefully hungry. She prepared a colorful plate. A side salad of arugula, gray red carrot, and fermented sauerkraut, fiber plus gut support first. Grilled chicken breast with a dollop of hummus, protein plus healthy fat. A small bowl of quinoa tossed with roasted zucchini, slow-release carb. Last, a glass of water with cucumber slices. She ate outside, under the shade of her balcony umbrella, savoring each bite. There was no post-lunch slump, no sugar craving, no bloating. Just a quiet, steady kind of energy. Why it worked? By starting with fiber and fermented veggies, Emma helped support both blood sugar balance and estrogen detox. Adding protein early in the meal also stabilized leptin, reducing unnecessary snacking later. Afternoon snack, if needed, be kind, 3:30 p.m. She wasn't starving, but felt a little hungry enough to honor it gently. Her choice, a small handful of walnuts, healthy fat plus protein. A few slices of cucumber and bell pepper crunch plus fiber. Herbal tea with licorice root, naturally sweet and hormone supportive. She noticed something new. She didn't crave sugar, not like before. There was no sense of needing something extra, just satisfaction. Why this helped? Snacking isn't bad when done consciously. The key is to choose whole foods that don't spike blood sugar. This snack kept Emma in balance, without triggering insulin or cortisol. Dinner, grounding into rest, 6:30 p.m. Dinner was Emma's favorite meal that day. Warm roasted beet and fennel salad with olive, all fiber-rich starter. Baked salmon with dill and lemon, protein plus omega-3. A few slices of roasted sweet potato, slow carb, last. A mug of calming chamomile tea afterward. She dimmed the lights, played soft music, and felt gratitude wash over her as she ate. Her body felt warm, her belly full, but not stretched. Her breath slow and even. Why dinner matters. At night, the body prepares for rest and repair. Eating in the right order keeps blood sugar stable, helping melatonin production and allowing cortisol to wind down. Omega-3 fats also help reduce inflammation, supporting better sleep and hormone recovery. Evening wind down, 9 p.m. Emma journaled again, just a few words. I didn't count anything today, I just listened. And I feel ... light, safe, whole. She slipped into bed without her phone, no cravings, no mental noise. Just her body, finally in rhythm with something ancient and wise. Emma didn't need perfection, she needed pattern. And in those simple, intentional meals she had found her rhythm again.